here we are with Phillip from Phillip and his coder Alex.
Hi.
And this is actually going to be an interview on Phillip's project MapTap. For those of you who don't know about MapTap, Phillip, did you want to tell everyone what MapTap is?
Yeah. MapTap was designed to allow you to install, play, uninstall, and filter single-player maps and mods that I have. Single-player maps that I have released on Planet Phillip. It might work with files from other sites, but there's no guarantee and there's no support for that. The idea was that for many people, it can be really difficult knowing which files to place in which folder, and then you've got to start the console, which for some people is difficult. So we wanted to streamline that process as much as possible to make it easy, because some of the maps out there are fantastic and they're not being played because it's perceived to be difficult to access them.
Yep, I completely agree on that. There's a lot of people that even don't know how to install normal Half-Life mods still.
Yeah, exactly.
So I know we're kind of going backwards on this, but did you want to introduce yourself too for everyone?
Me?
Yep.
Okay, I'm Phillip. I run a website called planetphillip.com, which is focused on single-player maps and mods for the Half-Life series of games, and that includes Portal because it's in the same universe. I've been doing that now for approximately 8 years. It's not my first website, but it's the one that's become the most popular. So that's me. Over to Alex.
Okay, I'm Alex. I'm a coder. I did most of my work for Aliens vs Predator 2.
Oh.
And MapTap is actually the first program in the Half-Life/Source Engine area.
Awesome, awesome. Yeah, nice to meet you, Alex. I previously haven't actually even met you before this, so nice to meet you. So, how long have you guys been developing this? We'll go Phillip and then Alex.
I suppose we've been working on this for 9 months. Alex, what do you think? I'm not even sure of the first time we started.
Oh man. So we started first with a specification document all the way in November 2010.
Okay, so a year and a half.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And I don't know, I think MapTap was in development for, I don't know, almost a year, and afterwards it was released version 1.0.
Yeah. We tried to spend a lot of time making sure that the specification document was accurate, and it was things like, what will we do if there are multiple accounts? What should we do if there's a problem with the file? All of that. We tried to think of as many things as possible so that when we had the first release, it would be as close to usable as possible. So that's why it took a long time to get to that point.
Well, for my opinion, I've played with it. I've probably used it for about a month or so now, on and off. I haven't, played all of my time, with MapTap because I am doing stuff with other games and mods too. But from what I've used it for, it's been really solid and super stable. So I really have to give you guys a hand that way. I know I'm going backwards again, but how did you guys meet? I'm kind of curious now.
I posted something on Planet Phillip. I knew I wanted to build something, and I knew I didn't have the coding skills to do it, so I made a post on the site, and I was asking for a number of different people at that point, and I wanted somebody to help me build this, and Alex came forward, and we started talking, and that's really what happened. Alex, do you remember it differently?
Yeah, well, initially I was more interested in at least giving a helping hand in, I don't know, contouring what is supposed to be doing this application. So this is actually the reason why we started with the specification. I mean, just in case I didn't pick up the project, the guy who would actually pick it up, he would actually face a more, I don't know, a well-defined problem, instead of, okay, an application which will do this and this. He will have something like, okay, an application would look like this, has this buttons, and does this and this actions. Yeah, but afterwards, after I finished the specification, yeah, it pretty much caught on me, so I had to do it.
Awesome, awesome. So let's see here. I guess are you guys the only two people working on MapTap, or is there more people behind the scenes? It's just you two.
Well, essentially it's just us, but I would consider all of the beta testers kind of involved as well. And there were a few people who worked really hard and gave us proper reports. Other people who thought beta testing was just playing it and not, providing any feedback. But essentially it's just us working together. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I know MapTap was designed in mind for Gold Source and Source mods. Do you think people would be able to take the same base or the same theory and apply it to any sort of game that uses like a console to activate the map? So for Crisis or like Doom, maybe.
Let me start, Alex, and then you can take over. Yep. There is an application called Quake Injector, made by Quake Addicted, which is a website, which is a fantastic website. If you are into Quake single player, you must visit this website. And he has an application called Quake Injection, or Quake Injector. Yeah, that's it. Sorry. Yeah. And it basically does the same idea as we did. And I didn't know about this until after I started thinking we wanted something. And William from Podcast 17 tells me that there's actually something for Armour that does a very similar job, but is more extensive. So the basic idea could be extended to all games, I suppose. Alex?
Awesome.
Yeah, I pretty much agree with you. So, for example, even for old games that are based on the LithTech engine, and I'm harping back to AVP2. Sorry, guys. So I come from the AVP2 territory, so I will always refer to that. So even that particular game engine has command line options which allow you to specify the map to start. So if the game engine allows you to do that, there is the possibility to develop similar applications for games for those particular engines.
Awesome.
So Unreal, I know that it can do that. id Tech engines, I know that they can do that. So yeah.
Sweet.
That's
exactly what the response I was looking for, and that'd be awesome if someone. What I was kind of getting at is maybe if it's possible to have the same thing, the same idea as MapTap, but for like all the games, or like make a universal one or something. I don't know.
We're not talking about this.
I'm dreaming.
But
in theory,
Alex, is there any technical reason why? And we're not going to do this because I'm only interested in supporting, stuff downloaded from my website. But there's no technical reason why MapTap couldn't be extended to any game that, as you say, has a console command. Yes.
No. So from a technical point of view, no. As long as the game engine, as I said, it allows you to specify the name of the map to start, then it's very much possible.
Right.
Yeah. And you have to, you will have different types of codes and algorithm to handle installation of maps for various engines, but in theory, it's pretty much the same.
So as far as how MapTap works when you play a map, as far as clicking on the name of the map within MapTap, is that just like adding like just code to the shortcut like you would in Steam, or how does it work like that? Who would want to take this question?
Alex.
Okay, so what it does is basically launches Steam. It specifies the app ID, basically the game that needs to be launched, and then it specifies the name of the map via the, I think it's map, the command line option.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that's how the launching of the map goes. Now, installing a map, that's actually the more hard process.
Mm-hmm.
And in order to have such an application that is supposed to be successful for a given game, it's good to standardize the format of the archive. And here actually Phil did a pretty good job with the archives on his site.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's actually something I've really liked about Planet Phillip personally. When someone takes on the daunting task of making a database for a lot of things, it's a good idea to have it similar. And then I know almost every time when I download a map from Planet Phillip, There's gonna be like a README in there, and then some extra stuff that the modder possibly included with it. It's not that way for every mod, if I recall, but sometimes it's what it is. Am I right on that?
Yeah, I don't remove anything from a release. So if I find a release on another website or on the author's website, I don't remove anything. I only add my README, because of course it's my bandwidth that people are using, and people should know that it's been downloaded from me. I don't change the format or anything, except if I have to change it to work with MapTap, which is very, very unusual. But yeah, I mean, you basically get what the original author intended you to get. Sometimes I might remove some screenshots because there's no real need for them to be in there, and if they, bump up the size of the file, then there's no point at all. So I might take those out, but otherwise it's as it is. And I just want to follow on from what Alex was saying. The way we install the files is very important, because we don't touch the base installation of any game. We create a pseudo mod, which then allows us to delete everything without changing any part of your base game. And that was a really clever idea, and that was Alex's, because I was worried how it was going to work. But when you look inside your folder, you won't see the maps themselves. They'll actually be in the games folder as a separate folder.
Oh, that's actually really awesome. I think that keep it clean, because
yeah, it does.
Maps usually don't let you, like, if they're a map set, they'll have like multiple maps in there. So then if you end up with like a larger mod or a map set, then it kind of gets messy. So
yeah,
awesome.
Especially if it changes some of the models, or it adds textures that overwrite the original game. That would be bad news, and it would have been so complicated to keep a list of what's been changed and copies. And so Alex came up with this idea, and it works really well.
Awesome.
Yeah, basically it was the fear of having to handle conflict between resources, game resources like textures and models. This is what ended up driving to this type of solution.
Awesome. Yeah, that's a really awesome idea, actually. That's great. I really hate, especially with other games in the past, like if you play, I'm going to take Skyrim for example. Most of the mods, they'll be like the texture mods or whatever, but sometimes you run into areas where you have to overwrite stuff. And personally, when I make my videos and stuff like that on Modinformer, I like to have like a before and after video, and it's impossible to take that video when you don't have the original stuff that you started with. So that's really good. That's a really good way to go with for the mod, the MapTap idea especially. I remember, Phillip, me and you, we talked before about Source Sauce and getting with that developer for a while. Is there any light at the end of the tunnel for possibly seeing that on there on MapTap still, or have you talked to him?
Not recently, no, but we will be including some of the features that he has. Maybe I should be saying we will be stealing some of the features. And I did actually contact him many years ago and asked him, will you make this with me? But he was too busy, which is fair enough. But one of the main things we will be taking from Source is the ability to run console commands. So we'll be doing that, but we won't be crossing over too much, so that there'll still be a need to use Source. Alex, do you want to add anything to that?
Well, it's actually very little to add. So just adding the ability to run some extra parameters or some extra console commands. That's pretty much it that we were going to borrow from it.
Yeah, that's good. I mean, having those extra console commands at the end will, be beneficial to people to know how to use them. Are we talking just stuff like changing the resolution, or no clip cheats and stuff like that? CVARs, is that what we're talking?
Yes, but initially the main focus will be on removing the video at the beginning, so like no vid, setting maybe the heap size, loading the last save window or full screen, so some, and eventually maybe in the first release of that idea we'll just have a parameter line and people can add whatever they want.
Awesome, awesome. That'd be
Alex,
great.
is that right? That's more or less what we've agreed, yes?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So basically, the line where the user has the possibility to add extra parameters. This is something that I'm very keen on adding. This is pretty much something that a lot of games have, or at least a lot of the older games had. So you can actually specify some optional parameters there.
Yep.
So yeah, we use that. So I understand its value.
Oh yes,
So, yeah.
yes. I've been delving back into Wolfenstein 3D actually over the past month, and then I'm gonna be working my way up from that. Gonna go through like Doom and stuff like that. But I really like how those engines were built with the command line stuff, and I really learned that batch files are your friend with those games. So I got some more abstract questions going forward. If you were to add any feature to MapTap, what would it be?
Well, we have a roadmap. It's not as clearly defined as we want, but I mean, I have a list of features that we plan to include. Some of them will be secret because we don't really want anybody to steal the idea. But off the top of my head, for example, we'll be able to drag and drop a BSP file. So instead of dragging a proper Planet Phillip archive, people will be able to take any BSP file and drop it onto MapTap. It will ask you what game you want it for, because there's not enough information in the BSP to decide. So, you know, sometimes people have got just BSP maps and they know they're single player, so that would be good. The next one that I'm really interested in adding is the ability to monitor a folder. So what we'll allow people to do is download to a folder of their choice, and then when they start MapTap, MapTap will look through all of the archives in that folder and ask you, do you want to install all of them? So you can like do a batch installation. Those are the two that are kind of on the top of my head. I've got some more, but you go, Alex. Which ones are interesting for you?
Well,
any?
One of
Maybe
them,
not.
yeah. It's actually the auto update process. So the current auto update process is not, how should I put it, easily visible to the user. So it was kind of funny when you guys did the, I think it was on episode 185 for podcast. Yeah, when you guys were wondering if MapTap has an auto update process. It has one, but obviously it's not visible enough. I mean, it's not engaging the user as it should to make itself visible. Yep. But yeah, this is actually one of the most interesting one.
We've been a little remiss here, because what we do, and I'm a little embarrassed to say this, and it's my responsibility, is we actually download the update and then tell users it's available, and that's wrong. We should tell users it's available. Do you want to download it? And that was just, I missed it, and that's the way it works at the moment. So we're going to be more ethical about how you update it from you in future.
Especially for those people with the wireless cards taking up their data.
Yeah, I've got like
the one or two people.
So, another thing I'm interested in. Oh, sorry, Alex, go.
I'm actually running on a 3G modem, so I should have known better.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. it was actually one of the simplest the simplest mechanism to implement. So yeah, we went for that one. But yeah, it will change.
The next update I'm interested in adding, next feature, is a timer. Because on Planet Phillip in the next month or so, there'll be a new feature in the comment section where people will put how long they took to play a map or mod. I'm stealing this idea from GameLengths.com, which is a fantastic idea. And if there's a timer built into MapTap, that really could help people, you know, decide how long it took them to play. And I suppose it's a good time to mention, this is like a world exclusive, Sean. We're going to be partially supporting mods.
Ooh.
Partially.
That's good.
All right. Now let me just explain. I'll do it in the non-technical aspect, and then maybe Alex can finish with the truth. We're going to allow people to install mods via MapTap. We are not going to allow them to play them via MapTap, because that's a little bit more complicated, and we're not out there to compete with Steam or Desura. Okay, but they will install them from MapTap, but they'll still have to go to Steam or Desura to play them. Alex, do you want to clarify any spin that I put on that?
Yeah, I think the reason why it's not that easy to launch mods or maps from a mod via MapTap is the Steam application ID. So there is no way for me to know what application ID, or at least temporary application ID, Steam decides to assign to a given mod. So if I cannot determine that, then I cannot launch it. So the way MapTap launches a map says steam.exe, it specifies the app ID, and then I don't know, with the map parameter it specifies the map name. Well, without knowing the Steam application ID, it's pretty much impossible to launch it. And I don't know how to do it at this point.
I mean, it must be possible. Sorry, Sean. It must be possible because Desura do it.
Yeah. I was actually just thinking. I thought I remembered at least like just digging through source mods and actually seeing like an INI file or like a text file with like the Steam app ID in there. I'm trying to find it right now, but I'm not really sure. Go ahead and say what you're gonna go talk about.
No, Alex.
Oh well. Again, for some of the mods, I can see that you just extract the archive in the source mods and that's it. I didn't notice any changes, but yeah, it is something that is worthwhile investigating. I mean, I know that there is a mechanism, and yeah, sooner or later I think we'll find it. But I'm not making any promises just now.
Yeah, it's gameinfo.txt. That's what I just found.
For source mods, but for other mods, no. Okay. Maybe there's a way, but our initial idea is to help people install them. If maybe we can run them in future, okay, maybe. I mean, it's MapTap, not ModTap. Yeah. I'm not too worried about that. My focus is on making life as easy as possible. And let's be honest, running mods from Steam is not hard.
No.
So if we just install them via MapTap and they just turn on Steam, it's still quite easy.
Yeah. If someone has a problem starting up Steam or restarting Steam and just clicking on that, I see what you mean.
Yeah, MapTap will not do any good for them anyway.
No.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, it's not easier than Steam anyway.
Yeah.
Pretty much on par with it, but yeah.
Awesome. So, I have some a little bit more abstract questions, not necessarily to do with MapTap, but I want to know your guys' thoughts on the portal testing initiative and how that'll affect Planet Phillip.
I've been I've been worried about it ever since I heard about it, and it is strange really because I've been complaining for many years that Valve should do more to host these maps and mods, and here's why I'm worried. I mean, at the time of this interview, there must be at least 40,000 maps that they have been created and uploaded. Yep. All right. Now, my site isn't focused on portals, so I'm not particularly worried, and I've got a few ideas how I can, I can leverage that content. But if they did that for Half-Life 2, my site becomes useless because people will naturally gravitate towards the workshop. My site is better than Workshop because it gives people, instead of just a thumbs up or a thumbs down, it gives them 100 different ways of finding good content and engaging readers, and it provides much more than the Workshop does. But quality isn't always what decides who the winner is. And if new users can just click on the button within Steam and go to the Workshop for Half-Life 3 maps, for example, life is going to be really hard for Planet Phillip. And sites similar to it. I mean, there are some, not so many, but there are some. Alex, what do you think?
Well, I don't know, to be honest. I mean, it's not just the ability to get a map easy that I'm interested in. I'm also interested in what people actually think about it. So from that point of view, I can actually see the value of planetphillip.com. So I'm not that much worried. I mean, I know that people who also search for this extra information will end up eventually on planetphillip.com. So I don't think it will affect the traffic that much. I mean, yeah, this is what I think at least.
That's actually surprising to hear, because I was actually going to agree with Phillip that I think that'd be a big, massive impact on you know, your guys' website if that happened. I think that's really sad too, because you guys have a really awesome website. I really like the views people give, especially, you know, when you download a map and then when you're looking through, and you know, I always see Phillip's recommended, or if he likes it or not, and that really tells me, okay, I should play this one. Oh, I should avoid it. It's a really good way to go about it. On a lot of stuff on Valve Workshop, you know, there's some worthless stuff on there, I'm not gonna lie, with 5-year-olds literally playing with the tools. Well, I wouldn't go far as saying 5-year-olds, but like 12-year-olds.
Yeah,
exactly.
I mean,
and that, yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, Alex, go. No.
What I was going to say is that, and from this point of view, the content on the workshop may end up to be a little bit more diluted in quality than what's on planetphillip.com. So, and this is why I said, people who are obsessed with quality, or who are interested in finding these extra tidbits about a map, I don't know, what review or something, they will end up on planetphillip.com.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, at the moment I'm not too worried, because Portal and Portal 2 are such a small aspect of the site, but if there were 50,000 Half-Life 3 maps, that would be hard for me to find the good ones, and it's easy to say, oh well, if people are interested in quality, they can go to Planet Phillip. But if I can't find them, then it's not going to be particularly useful. What I've got to do is I've got to take a lesson from what Valve do when they talk about piracy. When Gabe talked about piracy, he talked about making it easier to use Steam than to pirate a game, and I've got to find a way of making Planet Phillip more useful than the workshop, and I think currently it does that. It clearly doesn't win on quantity, but it does win on quality, and I have a number of initiatives for this summer that will build on your comment about, oh, you know, I see Phillip's idea, Phillip's recommendation, so I know what that's like. I've got some ideas that I work with another coder, which is like for PHP and website stuff, that should give even more reason for people to say, okay, if I want quantity, I go to the workshop. If I want quality, I go to Phillip.
Awesome.
Or Phillip's website.
Awesome. Another thing I wanted to add about the workshop is you need to be the developer of the mod to upload it. So if those developers for the older Half-Life 1 mods or maps and Half-Life 2 maps don't feel like uploading their stuff there, it's not going to end up on there. So that's another point I wanted to make. I'd have to almost say, thinking about that theory, I don't think we'll see an end to Planet Phillip anytime soon.
No, I hope not. But what's to stop somebody pretending that they are the author of something?
That's a good question. Now I want to ask what Valve would do in that situation, but
I mean, you know that there are people on ModDB who upload mods.
Yep.
They find them on Planet Phillip and then they upload them on ModDB, which is really annoying.
Yeah.
They don't claim authorship of those mods. I'm not suggesting that they're claiming authorship, but they find them on my site and then put them on ModDB, maybe because they feel that they're helping people. And I suppose that there's nothing to stop somebody from doing that to the workshop as well.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know. I haven't really looked at the workshop very much.
Yeah, I haven't delved that deep in it. Have you played with the testing initiative tools at all?
I haven't. I'm not interested in making Portal maps.
Me neither, unfortunately. I'm busy enough as it is with real life and and other projects, including MapTap. So yeah,
I tried it a little. It's not the best. Sorry to cut you short, Alex, but but it's decent. It really makes mapping super easy too. So it's something, you know, you can literally just jump into it, and it's super easy. And then the one question I had going into it was, you know, how do I know if it flows well during gameplay? You can actually just preview it from the builder, which is really awesome. I
mean, don't get me wrong. I think the actual idea is fantastic, and building these maps and all of those things. Just that I see it from the perspective of a webmaster. But the idea is clearly successful. I mean, 50,000 maps in the first, I don't know, 6 days or 5 days or something. Imagine at the year.
Yeah.
I mean,
nuts.
It works really, really well. They've done a fantastic job. So no complaints in that regard.
I actually interviewed Tom Bowie on the idea of Steam Workshop. Like after the Skyrim Workshop got released, I asked him, "Hey, are you ever gonna see too many files on you guys' servers?" And he's like, "Oh no, we're not gonna see anything, Phillip." I'd have to challenge him on that now because of how many maps are being developed for that. I mean, I can only imagine that's past terabytes right now.
Goodness knows how big it is. Maybe it's encrypted on their server somehow, but still, it would be a lot of space.
Yeah, definitely.
And bandwidth.
So, I'm trying to think of any questions off the top of my head.
Let me ask you a question.
Sure.
Was it easy to use?
Yeah, it really was. I used it both ways. In testing it out over the past month or so, I'd probably I'd start up MapTap and use the browser within that, which was really easy to use, or I'd go to your website, and it works seamlessly with your website. I did get a little confused when I ran into like some of the actual mods that weren't for MapTap. Maybe I'd suggest like saying not made for MapTap or something like that.
It does. It says that on the website now.
It does.
It does. Yeah. No. Maybe it was added after you looked. But even if it says it's not big enough. And hopefully by the time we support mods, it won't be an issue. Everything on the site will install. It'll just tell you afterwards, you need to play this via Steam or get going. Yeah. So,
other than that, I liked it. It worked completely fine for me. No crashes, anything extra like that. So
excellent.
It was really awesome.
Alex, you okay there? You sound like fight or something.
Yeah. So apparently I'm the center of the attention now. Yeah. So we have a full house, and I try to seclude myself into the kitchen, but obviously the plans failed.
They followed you.
How should I put it? MapTap is actually the first and only way I install maps for the source engine games that I have.
Oh, okay,
simply
good.
Because I wasn't really interested in, and this will come as a shocker. So I wasn't really interested in Half-Life 2 and whatnot. I didn't play too many custom maps for that. So when this project came, it's pretty much the first time when I actually installed custom maps for it.
Okay.
So as far as I'm concerned, yeah, it works pretty smooth.
Excellent.
And I did manage to crash it, but only during development, fortunately.
No, I'm happy that you used it.
Yeah.
I'm happy that you used both the browser and via the website, because that was really one of my questions, to find out how you used it. If you could add any feature, what would it be? What would you like us to do for you?
I think is being able to use MapTap for any game I want, which is probably impossible. But to suit someone like me, when I'm using every game moddable, basically. I have a big list of moddable games. I think it's over 100 games right now. So, and that's what I'm actually tearing through. Starting at the bottom at Wolfenstein, so that's what I'm working on. But question I was gonna ask you, I missed. How are the stats? How many people have you seen using MapTap? Besides, just the people that you can reach. Is there a way for you to track, or how would you do it?
There is, yes. Let me just open up that page. We can track how many users have installed it. You have access to... Alex? Maybe I have it here. 1 second. I'm sorry, I didn't even plan for this.
That's okay.
Because what we did was we had a competition at the beginning where people would okay, all right, let me just pick a random number. All right, we have 616 MapTap installations at this point. Now, that could be that people have installed it twice on different machines. This information is just the numbers. We don't take any other information, so we can't, you know, I couldn't tell you the IP addresses or what operating systems they use, anything like that. You know, that would be unethical. But we ran a competition at the beginning, and they had to provide us with an ID number and a key number when we installed that feature, that we would then count how many people have it installed. So 616 is pretty cool. I mean, it's, you know, that's quite a good number. I'd like it to be 6,016 or 60,016, but 616 is pretty good. I'm hoping that as we add those new features and people really begin to see how useful it is, and it's more integrated into the website, that new visitors will come along and automatically adopt it. So, I mean, Alex, do you think 616 is good?
Well, I think pretty much any application developer would love to have, I don't know, 6 million or something like that, but yeah.
Yeah, that would crash my server though. The site would be down. 6 million downloads.
It's a number. It's, yeah. Yeah, let's put it this way. It has an opportunity to grow. So, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm hoping for 1,000 by the end of the year.
Yeah, that's a good goal to reach. I'd have to agree that there's always room for improvement. And right now, MapTap is actually sitting really good as it is. I didn't mean that as like a insult in any way. I like
it wasn't taken that way. I think people are still scared of the idea of playing single maps. Well, maybe not scared, but a lot of people. And this was a poll question I had a couple of weeks ago. Are you a mod snob? And people said no, but I think that they are. I think that anything shorter than half an hour, and they sort of turn their nose up at it, thinking that it's not worth the effort. But if they knew how easy it was to just run something very quickly, literally a coffee break map, they might change their mind. But I still think people are a little bit shy about it. And once we add support for mods, then I'm expecting a lot more, because everybody should be using it to install, I suppose. Or most, anyway.
Alex, do you have anything?
Well, I was just thinking that pretty much what can you do to actually draw more people into MapTap? Do more advertising, and I guess we can even go wild, like, I don't know, linking it to Facebook or something.
Yeah, I mean, there's a few publicity things that I could do.
Make it even easier to run, or easier to customize, or something. Make it more appealing to people, even more than it is now.
Or there's the opposite. And it's not exactly the opposite, but making it that you can only run maps from Planet Infinite via the MapTap. And I'm not suggesting that's what I want to do.
No.
You know, it's just that, you know, I mean, that could be a way of forcing people to use it. But I don't want to force people. No. I want people to know about it and choose to use it because it's so useful.
Yep.
So, I don't know. I don't really want to go down the Facebook route because I've got limited time, and I'm not even sure that, you know, that would attract more people. Maybe more competitions, or I don't know.
Yeah, competitions. Do you have anything more for me?
Yeah. No, I don't think so. I mean, I could talk about some of the features that we had planned, but none of those are. I mean, we want to add the idea of backing up MapTap as well. That's another thing that we'd like to be able. Users can sort of click back up. It copies everything that MapTap has installed and the settings, so that if they reinstall Steam, they can install MapTap and then click, you know, update, and it will update to what they had before. We're going to have some pop-up did you knows eventually as well, so when you start, you know, I mean, for example, did you know that there's like 3 or 4 different ways of installing a map? You can drag it onto the desktop, onto the application, you can drag it onto the shortcut, you can, you know, so little things like that to keep people up to date on all of the new features that they might not have known about. But that's it really. No, I'm happy. I think we've covered everything I wanted to cover, or that I expected you to cover. Alex, is there anything you wanted to talk about?
There is. So while working on MapTap, I rediscovered some sort of technology called HTML for applications. It basically allows you to create Windows applications using web design techniques. So basically, the desktop application is actually a web page, and you run JavaScript. and I would love to try my hand at making a user interface for MapTap using that technology. Because I mean, it gives a lot of flexibility. I mean, any guy who is proficient enough with JavaScript and HTML can customize MapTap not only in looks but also in functionality. So yeah, but this is really far away. It's something that is I don't know, something that at some point kept me awake. But yeah,
I actually thought of two questions.
It's not something for short term. It's a really long shot.
Like I was gonna say, I actually thought of a couple questions while we were talking just now. I'm interested in if there was anything that you guys were doing during development that fell through, or that you figured you weren't gonna do. Was there anything like that happened?
Well, there was the aspect that Alex just mentioned. I mean, when we went from version 1 to version 2, I wanted to change the user interface because I felt that it needed a little bit of work. And we did discuss going from, a standard development interface to a HTML interface, but I was just worried that we would rush it. So that could be something in future. I'm not really sure that we didn't drop anything
we have
else.
Pretty much everything. Everything else is pretty much noted in the document. So, or if it's not noted in the document, you have created tickets. So
yeah,
I think pretty much everything is tracked. Maybe not available in the current version, but it's definitely in the pipeline.
I did consider having something called MapTap Plus, which would be a special version that would be available to either donators or people who have reached a certain level of comments on the site. So, for example, if you've made more than 100 comments with recommendations, you get MapTap Plus. Or if you want to make a donation of $10, you get MapTap Plus. MapTap Plus was going to be able to basically have what you mentioned earlier, which was MapTap exclusive. I was going to make collections, like, for example, the best maps of 2011 would only be available via MapTap Plus, and we would have a system in there that normal MapTap wouldn't accept it. But then I wasn't really sure. I thought, maybe that's a little bit too elitist, and sort of, okay, yeah, maybe we'll just drop that. We'll just make sure everything is available to everybody. And it was never about the money. It was never about trying to get donations. No. It was just about making sure that there was a technique for people, if they wanted to shortcut and not put recommendations, they could get it. But I was hoping that it would be like a reward system for people to use the recommendation system more on the website. But at the moment, that's been dropped. We're not gonna do that for. We have no plans to introduce that. Maybe it will change, but we have no plans.
Okay.
Well,
that was another one.
Yeah, the list of features is already long as it is, so
yeah,
I think it also helps in terms of managing the time. Basically, focusing on other features like Phillip said, dragging and dropping a BSP or monitoring a folder, stuff like that.
Awesome. And then I think for my last question, it's not really ending with a bang, but when I was looking at MapTap, I was actually wondering, is there like a way, or would you guys be thinking of ever introducing like screenshots of a map or something like that? Because I know you already have screenshots on Planet Phillip of most of the maps, like your little, your sideways screenshot you always include. Would that ever be included? That'd be something I'd be interested.
Actually, it goes back to your previous question about things that we did drop. I suppose now that you ask it, we did think about, is there a way for us to include that kind of information? But the problem is, from a webmaster's point of view, MapTap needs to supplement Planet Phillip. It mustn't replace Planet Phillip. And the reason it mustn't replace it, because if people don't visit the website, then there'd be no reason for me to keep the website open. And I receive a small amount of income from the site, which helps run the site. I don't make any money from the site. But if I lost my advertisers' income because people weren't visiting the site, I wouldn't be able to run the competitions, for example, and those kind of things. So it was always clear to me at the beginning that MapTap must supplement the website, not replace it. And if we put too much information into MapTap, then people might not bother visiting the site at all. And now that it has the browser, I feel that that's a fair compromise, because they can always go to the website. One of the features that you might not have seen is that if you select one of the maps and you right click on it, you can choose go to review page.
Well, guys, I think that's it. Do you have anything more? Anything more, Alex?
No, not really. I think we covered pretty much every feature.
Yeah. I think we did a really good job. Thanks for taking the time.
I'd like to take this opportunity.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Sorry, I'd like to take this opportunity to publicly thank Alex for all of his hard work and patience. He's excellent to work with. He puts up with my constant emails about, oh, I've got this idea, and oh, should we do this, and all of those things. And he's like perfect to work for. He's like, you're the boss, Phillip. You tell me what you want, and I code it. And that's like,
awesome. And this is actually valuable feedback. So no reason to thank you. Yeah,
no, thank you very much.
It's valuable feedback for development.
There would be no MapTap without Alex. It would just be
it would be in the brain. So, like I said, thanks, Phillip. Thanks for taking your time out of your super busy schedule, managing a billion websites at once. I really appreciate it. You're awesome. I love your site. And
you're most welcome. Thank you.
Yeah, take it easy. Take it easy, Alex. Thanks for being on the show with us. And thanks for using Google Plus on short notice.
It's fine.
That's kind of the end of things.
Nice day.
Yeah. Thank you.